Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Where are you calling from?
Uh, Actual location or
Yeah.
I am in Green Cove Springs, Florida, in my dining room.
Oh, I'm from Florida. Wait, what part of Florida is that? Is it on the west?
So we are right outside of Jacksonville. So
Oh,
like on the west side of Jacksonville.
oh, that's awesome. I'm heading that way in about a week or so. I love it there.
Awesome. Where are
Very
you
cool.
going?
We're going to Ponte Vedra. We've got family
Oh,
there. Yeah.
okay. We're about 45 minutes from that.
Oh, amazing. Okay, I know exactly where you are. That's so
Yeah.
great. What beautiful pictures you have behind you. Is this your
Thank
family?
you. Yes, those are my girls.
Oh, wow. Those are so cute. I love the silly
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, so we have a photographer that's right down the street, and she does what's called personality sessions. So we try to get them done yearly, just to see like their face changes and things like that. And they get to do them together where they get to make funny
Oh
faces
my
and
gosh,
see.
how
I don't
cute.
even know how to move that, but
Oh, that's so
yeah.
cute. Oh, and they're all about it too. They're not too cool for this yet. I love that.
No, they love it.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for doing this. I know my community might have been a little random for me to reach out on behalf, but I'm really excited to have this conversation. And I think in the baby loss space, we have a lot of options on how to move forward to expand our families, but sometimes we don't have a lot of options moving forward just based on our own individual health and situations and experiences. So I think shedding some light on adoption would be a good thing for a lot of us. I know I'm interested in hearing a lot about it. So I'm so excited that you agreed to do this. And we're already recording. I just want us to chat and how it would kind of just
Yeah,
go if,
absolutely.
yeah. So can you, and you said that you have a partner, you and Brittany,
Mhm.
right? You
Correct.
are a birth mama and she's an adoptive mama, right?
Correct.
And you're merging your experiences together for this company called Evermore.
Mhm.
I'm going to put a lot in the
So
description so you don't have to do too.
Brittany was actually one of my clients when I worked for an agency, which is how I met her. And then when I started Evermore, she started referring families to me, and she was telling them about the process and what to do and things like that. Um, she didn't have the best experience with agencies and things. So when I started Evermore, she got super excited, and I would start to tell families about the process and what they needed to do. And she's like, they would be like, oh yeah, Brittany already told me. And so I called her one day and was like, hey, do you want a job? Like, do you want to help me with this? And she was all about it. And we have been doing it ever since.
How long have you guys been doing it?
Almost 8 years. It'll
Eight
be 8 years
years.
in October.
Okay, so
So I had it about a year and a half or so,
okay.
almost 2 years before she started.
Wow. Okay,
Mhm.
so you were working for an adoption agency. Can you kind
Mhm.
of I'm a little, I don't know much, so forgive me. So there's a difference between agencies and then consultants, obviously. Do
Correct.
agencies represent the birth mama and then
Yes,
you represent the adoptive family? Is that correct?
correct.
Okay, okay.
So every there are true consultants, and then there are facilitators that pose as consultants.
Mm,
So one of the things across the US is facilitators are illegal in a lot of states. They are not licensed. They are working with moms. They are working with the families. They bring them together and then kind of pass them along to different attorneys. And they kind of do things a little backwards, a little shady. There is They typically match fast. They're not paying attention to mom. They're not meeting her in real life. They just take, a mom can be like, oh, I'm pregnant, and they'll be like, send me proof of pregnancy, and they'll text them proof of pregnancy, and then they'll hurry up and match a mom. Which with facilitators, they are cheaper,
mm.
as far as it goes, but there's no real due diligence being done, and it causes a lot of disruptions and scams to be able to happen. So we are true consultants. We do not work with the moms at all. We only work with the families. We are in the family's corner where the agency's primary focus is mom, and a lot of agencies use us because we kind of take that workload with the families off of them.
Mm.
So we all work together. So we work with the families, the agency works with mom, and then we all kind of come together. And we never talk to mom or anything like that. But once a mom chooses a family, they are also signed on with that agency. And we just kind of help move it along in the right direction.
Okay, so an agency has a mom. The mom chooses one of your families. Then the
Mhm.
family signs on with the same agency and they take it from there.
Correct.
So you're doing kind of maybe the due diligence with the family, the testing or the interviewing, or what are you doing?
We are
Filtering.
going through, we're meeting with the families, we're providing education. Every month we do different webinars. We create the family profile book. We are helping them with grants and fundraisers and just kind of building that gap. And then we are a middle person for the agency. So when the agency has a mom, they've taken her for an ultrasound, they've done everything with mom, and when she's ready to choose a family, they'll reach out to us and say, "Hey, we have this mom. Here's everything about her. Do you have any families that want to present?" We then talk to our families. We send them an email and we say, "Here's everything about mom. Here's our notes on it. Here's what we think could be a risk. Here's what we don't think could be a risk. Here's just our opinion on it. Do you want to present?" Once they say yes, they want to present, we take their book and their home study. We send it over to the caseworker that's working with mom. They're going to review their home study, make sure everything matches up with that mom, and then they'll present them to the mom that is working. And then mom's going to look over books. Once mom looks over books, if she chooses a family, they contact the family or us and let us know. And then we just go on to the next steps.
Okay, and the way that you reach out to multiple of your families if they're checking the boxes that are fitting with this particular
So
situation.
in my opinion, I don't like to play God. There are some agencies that will go based on strictly off of families' preferences.
Mm.
I don't like to do that. I like to give every family an opportunity to review every case and say yes. So what we do is send an email blast out to every family, and then they get to choose which ones they say yes to. So we will always encourage a family to keep your home study as open as possible, even if you have hesitations with drugs or level of openness or even race or gender, anything like that. We will always tell a family, keep your home study open, because you never know if you see a case, which case is going to speak to you. And you never want a piece of paper dictating what you can and can't say yes to. So keeping your home study as open as possible. And then once the family gets these emails, they're able to review them and they're able to say yes or no to which ones they want to be presented to.
Okay, I want to unpack everything that you just said. I want to dissect it
It's
because
a
you're
lot.
talking to somebody who just knows very little, and I'm assuming my audience might as well. And I want to make this seem like it's not an easy process. I'm not going to assume
No.
that at all, but I would like to make it feel as less foreign as possible for them. Okay, so you said home study. What is a home study exactly?
So a home study is what legally allows you to be able to adopt.
Okay.
So a person will come to your home. They will review your home. They're not looking for you to have a nursery or have a child-proofed home, but they are checking your background. They are making sure that your home is lived in, that you have space for a baby, no matter where that may be, whether you're sharing a room with them. Like I said, you don't have to have a designated nursery or anything like that. They are checking your health to make
Who is
sure
they? This is a home
the
study
home study
separate company?
provider. So
Got it. Okay,
there are
okay.
home study providers in every state that are licensed to give you this home study.
Okay.
Um, and they are the ones that are legally approving you, telling the courts, yes, they are 100% approved to bring home a child.
Okay.
You have to provide your background clearances to make sure that you've never had any sexual or physical abuse, no recent drug charges. We've seen some pretty crazy things where people have done things and their late teens and early 20s, and now they are in their 30s and 40s and they want to adopt and they struggle. They're like, are we going to get denied for this? No,
Wow.
most of
Never
the
thought
time.
about
But
that.
if
Yeah.
there are any recent drug charges, there's any recent neglect, abuse charges, anything like that, you can be denied. The only thing that I've ever seen be a complete denial is a sexual abuse charge where the guy was 21 and a girl was 15. And he was turning 41 or 42, something like that. And the home study agency said, absolutely not. And the courts didn't approve him. Like they tried a couple different places and they were like, nope, this is an automatic denial.
Wow.
But other than that, most things that you do, can be overlooked and they will come into your home. They want to see that your home is lived in. They're checking things like, as far as medical goes, that you aren't going to pass away in a short period of time or,
Mm.
different little things like that. Other than that, it's a pretty quick, easy process. A lot of it is paperwork. So you got to get your financials together. You have to get your medical, your background clearances. There is a Adam Walsh clearance, which is your federal.
Mm.
You have to do, most home study providers, it is every county you have lived in for the past 5 years. You have to contact them and get your fingerprinting done to make sure you didn't have anything like that. You have to do statewide. It's a lot of paperwork, but most
Mm-hmm.
home study providers, you can be home study approved in 3 months or less.
I actually really appreciate the thoroughness of this. Is this across universally? This is not just
Mhm.
for y'all. This is agency.
Correct.
This
This
is
is
everything. Okay.
across the US. You have to
Okay.
have a home study. The only state that is a little bit different, and they are in the process of changing their laws, is California.
Hmm.
And California has some wonky laws as far as it goes. But most families, even if they live in California, do not want to adopt in California. So they still have to get their home study done the way it's supposed to be done to cross state lines.
And this is only adoption within the United States, correct?
Correct. We
Okay.
do not do anything with international.
Okay. But there are some consultants and agencies that could potentially do international, or do you
Correct.
contact agencies internationally?
So there aren't many.
Yeah.
I can think of about 5 or 6 places off the top of my head that will allow you to do international adoption.
Okay.
And it will depend on where you're trying to adopt from. Um, there's a lot of restrictions. A
Mm.
lot of states have shut down their adoption, and they won't allow you to adopt from their countries.
Interesting. Okay. And let's keep in breaking down also. You said that there's certain things, preferences, quote unquote, that some
Mhm.
families may have. I was reading through, and obviously, I think gender would be a huge one, especially in our
Mhm.
community where they've lost or something. And then race, obviously, and then drug usage was one too. I saw it said 75% of.
Majority of cases are going to have some sort of drug exposure. There's typically a reason why a mom is
Mhm.
choosing to place her baby for adoption, and drugs is usually the number one because they can't take the baby home.
Mm.
So when they get to the hospital, if they test positive for drug exposure, the state's going to come in and automatically take that baby and put the baby in foster care. So they can either choose that route and try to work a case plan through their state, or they can choose private adoption.
Okay, so this isn't just a matter of care after maybe the baby's dependent or the baby's sick. This is actually taking it to a whole nother level where you have to go through the foster system to do that.
So private adoption, no. So if a mom does not have an adoption plan and she goes into the hospital, has a baby, and that baby or mom tests positive for drugs, she can't take that baby home.
Okay.
So it would have to go into foster care at that point.
Okay.
We are only working with private adoption to where mom is choosing an adoption plan no matter what. And she is voluntarily going to an agency and saying,
Ah,
I want to make this plan, not the state telling her,
she has
you
to.
are
Yeah.
having your baby taken away and you are done. moms get a little bit more of an opinion when she chooses privately. So
Mm-hmm.
moms, just like families have preferences, moms have preferences too. So the mom can come in and say, I want a certain type of family. I want a family with no pets, or I want a family with no kids, or I want a family who lives on a farm. I had one that mom would only speak to families if they were a certain astrological sign. So
Oh,
moms,
wow.
just like families can
Yeah.
have, all these different preferences, moms can have preferences
Mm-hmm.
too.
Yeah.
And so they get to go through and kind of, so one of the things a lot of agencies use us because we try to focus on mom's preferences. As a birth mom, I wanted my preferences heard, and come to find out, I wanted certain preferences, but the agency that I chose to place with didn't allow those preferences. Like, they didn't work with same sex families, and I had no idea. And I wanted a same sex male family. Um, and I was told there were none that wanted to present to me. Knowing what I know now, if I would have known back then, I would have chosen a different agency. I just thought that none of them wanted what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So we are very big. Oops, I'm so sorry. We are very big on mom's preferences, and we go through and we make sure that families understand if a mom wants open adoption, if she wants to have to name the baby, if she wants something, those preferences need to be honored. And just like a family's preference, families want their preferences honored, mom's preferences should be
Mm-hmm.
too.
What is the difference between closed and open and private, and what is?
So private adoption is, so there is how we break it down. Private adoption is just where a mom privately goes to an agency and wants to place her baby for adoption
Okay.
through the state is through the state. That's like a foster care. And then there's what we call independent adoption. And it's where families are independently trying to adopt,
Mm.
where they
Okay.
are reaching out to members of the church. They are getting on social media. They are trying to do things on their own. So those are like the three different kinds of adoption that you can do.
Okay.
And then there is open is going to be, there are different levels of open. There is a semi-open and a full open. Open is typically where they do visits post placement, where a family is either bringing a mom to them or they are going to visit mom on a regular basis, usually once a year, every other year, every few years. There's some type of in contact visits.
Okay.
Semi open is going to be more of an electronic sort of communication where you're
Mm-hmm.
still keeping up, but it's going to be electronically, whether it's text, social media. There are different adoption platforms that agencies can use where they can upload videos and pictures and updates. And then closed is absolutely no communication, where a mom doesn't want any type of communication, the family doesn't want any type of communication, which is really rare. So, like for us,
Mm.
there will never, a family will never get a case that says closed. They will, it is, oh, the communication is always somewhat fluffed, where even if an agency tells us that mom wants closed, she doesn't really want any interaction, we will still tell the family, you need to be open to semi open, pictures, letters, updates.
Mm.
Even if they create an email address and they are still sending those emails, even though mom is not checking them, it is still some form of communication where they can at least say, we tried, because eventually that baby is going to turn into a opinionated teenager and an opinionated adult, and the adoptive family is going to want to say, I did everything I could to build some sort of relationship. I'm really sorry, maybe your bio parents didn't want that, but we still had that. So if they ever came back to us,
Mm.
they would be able to have all those updates for all those years. And then even if they never find the bio family, at least the child can go back and look through all of these updates for however long to see that the adoptive family did something. So our ultimate goal is to, there are sometimes agencies out there that don't do the best job. So I don't like to use the word victim, but I will say that I am one of those good moms who chose a not so great agency. And my ultimate goal is to say, hey, families, you are making this decision for forever. It shouldn't be what the agency is doing. It should be what you are doing. And how can we create better adoptive families for these children that are going to grow up versus, oh, well, the agency didn't do. The agency didn't keep us in contact. It's not the agency's responsibility. It is for a certain period of time, but you are making this decision forever. And what can you do to be a better adoptive family?
And this is where your consulting kind of comes in as well, telling your families that this is the best route for the future based off what you've seen, experiences, and how closed ones go. I feel like, is it inevitable that at one point they're going to be curious about where they come from, where their family? Yeah.
So my son that I placed for adoption, he has a younger sister. He has always had access to me. I'm very close with his mom. Over the years, we have built a relationship. And even though we don't talk on a regular basis, if I want to speak to her, I can always reach out. If she wants to speak with me, she can always reach out. And when they were younger and life was just different and everybody wasn't so busy, we did talk a lot more and we did get together on a regular basis. It was something that I really valued, and his little sister didn't have that. So she was adopted at birth, straight from the hospital. Her mom wasn't around. And their mom have shared with me, like over the years, how she feels versus how Jake feels. And it's just different when there's a mom that's not around versus a mom that is. So, what can everybody do to kind of create this better story? And I've had to go on and tell her, like, she's even asked me since I started at Evermore, like, what can we do to help her out? Because she has a different adoption story than what Jake has. And, I've kind of even helped her starting Evermore because we see so many different scenarios go on, and every different mom is going to have a different life and a different story. And every adoption is going to be different too. We have some families that they have siblings. We have quite a few families that one family will get one sibling and a mom will reach back out to the agency and want to place again. And one of our other families will get another sibling. And then it's these two different families, even though they have siblings, they can have completely different relationships with the same mom. And they kind of have to pivot around that. So it can be the same mom and siblings, but not every family is going to have the same relationship with a mom. They may not feel that same connection. We actually have a webinar that we did, and it is a birth mom Q&A, and I can send it to you just so you can watch it. But it is two different moms and myself talking, and one mom she came from a bad background where she was in foster care, involved in the state. She didn't have her family. She has used drugs pretty much her whole life. She's been in and out of prison. And then we have another mom who got pregnant in high school, and her and that dad are now together now, and they are married and they have their own baby, and she has gotten into the medical field, and they have two completely different stories. And the adoptive family for the mom who was young and in high school, she wanted a completely open adoption. She wanted 3 visits a year. She wanted to be actively involved. She was young. She thought that she was choosing the right family. And the family did everything that they could. They promised her the world. And once they got the baby, they pulled that and said, no, you don't get visits. We don't want you to have that. Where the mom that has used drugs her entire life and has been in and out of prison, that family is like, what can we do? Do you want to see pictures? Do you want to have visits? How can we help? And so it's a good for families just starting out that are curious about open and closed and how moms feel. That mom who has been in and out of prison, her name's Kristin. That mom who she just has had a hard life. She doesn't want an open adoption. She wants pictures every few years, and she'll reach out and say, hey, can I get pictures? And it's wonderful. And then Maddie, who was fresh out of high school, cries because she wanted a relationship that she was promised. So we just always say, don't overpromise and underdeliver. If you see preferences that a mom wants, don't promise just because you think that's the perfect situation. A lot of families, especially families who have drug hesitancy, will be like, oh, well, we want the young mom fresh out of school who doesn't use drugs, not realizing that she's going to want more of an open relationship. And if you are not open to open, that's not the perfect mom for you. So just don't overpromise and underdeliver.
And well, crawling into maybe the mental space of the family, is there a reason why they do go back on it when the mom is in a quote unquote better place? Not the drug use, but maybe they've moved on and they have a great life. Is there a fear of like feeling threatened or competition or that the child may want to?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It might be that, or it might be that they just don't feel like a mom deserves that. She doesn't deserve
Interesting.
to have that place.
Yeah.
There's no real telling.
Yeah.
We've actually had agencies reach back out to us and complain about families, even though they've worked with us, and they go MIA. They're completely non-existent. And we're like, we didn't even get this vibe from them that they were going to do these sort of things. And they do.
Mm,
Some families will say whatever they need to say just to get their baby. And they feel that it is only their baby, and they take it and run, and nobody ever hears from them again, which is
mm,
unfortunate because, again, eventually in
yeah.
the days of technology, that baby is going to grow up and find out things. And who are they going to be mad at? Are they
Yeah.
going to be mad at their bio family, or are they going to be mad at the adoptive family who kept them from their bio family all those years? I
Wow.
have teenagers that are opinionated, and they have different thoughts and feelings. And you just have to remember these babies don't keep. And,
Yeah.
they're in the days of technology. I mean, I see it all the time on adoption platforms where adults will come in and say, I'm trying to track down my bio family from 40 years ago. Well, a lot of that's really closed off, where now it's more open. People are talking more. There's easier ways to track things down. And I just feel like families don't think about their children getting older and having questions. And
Right.
so they just kind of do what they want to do at the time, not thinking about how it's going to affect later on.
Well, the whole process itself to even just getting the baby sounds extremely, complicated. I'm sure it takes a certain amount of time as well. What is the average? You said 3 months for some, right? But
So it can move really fast. So
okay.
we have some families that will get home study approved, they get their book done, and they match right away.
Okay.
We also have some families that it really depends on how many preferences you have. So if you come to us and you say, we want a white baby girl with no drugs, that is going to take a lot longer than a family who's like, we just want a baby. We are
Mm,
open. We are open to everything. Just just help us get a baby. They can so the amount of moms that you say yes to, the more exposure you're getting to moms. So if we say you see 60 cases in 6 months, which is about our average. We send out about an average of 60 cases in 6 months. So if you see 60 cases in 6 months and you say yes to majority of them in 6 months, you're probably already picked. But families who have more preferences, if they only say yes to 3 of those cases in 6 months, your wait's going to be longer than someone who has been waiting, who has been saying yes more and getting that more exposure.
And what is just because I'm speaking from a certain community at this point, what have you seen as far as baby loss or infertility or child loss? Is that something you see frequently?
A lot of families are going to have that. We actually do a special little thing with families who do IVF, and because Brittany has had that personally and has dealt with loss, we put together a little package for families who have done IVF, and we give $1,000 off of. I'm sorry,
It's
I
okay.
don't know. I don't know how to work technology. I do to get things done,
It's
but
always
I
changing. Don't worry.
don't know.
You're
Okay.
good. You're good.
I'm new to Apple, and so even though I've always had an iPhone, I just started using an iPad more often, and
They're
I
all
forget how they
connected.
connect. And I'm like, I hear my AirPods ringing from the couch and my phone, and everything's going off.
I hear
Um,
you.
but the more a family has that loss, um, Brittany will try to talk to a lot of families about that, especially if they have loss of a gender. Brittany, she had a loss of a baby girl, and she always felt that loss. So when she started adopting, she had her 2 biological boys, and she was gender specific. Is it a little bit harder? Yes. Is the wait a little bit longer? Yes. I also have families that are gender specific, and they take chances on cases that might be unknown gender. And sometimes it works out in their favor. And sometimes, I mean, it's a 50-50 shot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You never know. I have some families that say we're going to leave it up to God. It's unknown. And though we really want a girl, we just feel really drawn to this case, and we're going to take the chance. And I've had quite a few families do that, and it does end up being a girl. They were like, we felt it. We knew as soon as we read it, there was something about it. And then she picked us. So whatever it is, we're going to accept that, because we wouldn't get to choose our gender if we were getting pregnant on our own. So when it comes to those sort of things with loss, there are different struggles. It's different. We have a lot of counselors in different states. We have recommendations for adoption and loss counseling. We have a couple of webinars on that too. So every month we do a webinar for our families, and it's always going to cover a different topic. So we have quite a few webinars on counseling and how that looks for loss, and how you can't bring that into your adoption. You need to feel at peace with that, because in adoption, you can't control anything. It's not your baby until it is. And so it doesn't matter what a mom is doing, how much she wants to talk, how often she's going to the doctor. She gets to choose those things, not you. And so there are families who do have loss that struggle with the control aspect of it. And you have to let that go. And it
Oh my
is,
God, I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
and
because
it's
in
something
surrogacy, you get to
correct.
dictate because it's technically your embryo, I guess. So you get to dictate the visits, the ultrasounds, the medications, everything. But in
What
this,
they
you
eat,
just
what
don't.
they drink.
Yeah, you
And
don't.
in
Yeah.
this scenario, if you go meet with a mom and she orders a vodka cranberry at lunch, you can say nothing. You just have to sit there and either order a drink with her or move on. Like
You are
you
bringing up stuff I never would have even thought of.
and
Wow.
And these are the things that we try to prepare our families for,
Hmm.
because it's something that what you don't know,
Yeah.
right? And there are a lot of consultants or adoption professionals who will sugarcoat adoption. It is all hearts and butterflies and rainbows. And it's not like I never want a family to walk into a situation where it's unknown, right? I
Yeah.
prepare them for every different scenario that could happen when they're meeting a mom or getting to the hospital. We actually created, and as crazy as it sounds, I created a bingo card and I got together with all these different agencies and I'm like, okay, I have a list of crazy things that I've seen happen. Give me all your crazy things. And we created this card full of every possible thing that could happen during the delivery and hospital stay for a baby. And one of the things, my daughter was in counseling, and one of the things that she said, we were getting ready to go out of town, and she had a lot of anxiety about us going out of town for 9 days. And the counselor was like, I want you to write down everything bad that can happen so you are able to read through it. You're mentally preparing for it. So if it happens, you can say, I already suspected that could happen.
Mm.
It's okay.
Hmm.
I know how to work through it. I've already done my research. So we created that for families. So every possible scenario is down so they can say, okay, I know that this could happen. What do we do if it happens? And then we have different webinars that they can watch, different education that we can give them. We're supportive. We have a text group going to where if they're in the hospital, they can text us, they can do calls. Um, so we try to create these different
Yeah.
scenarios so
That's
families
great.
just don't get there and
Hmm.
be ill prepared. We never want a family to be like, I didn't know. What do we do? And then
Mm.
just completely panic and fall apart in an already stressful situation. It's emotional. Usually everybody is tired and there's all kinds of things going on. So we try to prepare everybody for every different thing that can happen, to make it a little bit easier.
I mean, I can't help but ask, um, how often have you seen an actual pregnancy end in a loss?
A few times.
You have. Yeah.
Where even late term, I
Hmm.
had one family, when I first started Evermore, they matched with a mom that was due in 7 weeks, and an ultrasound was done right about that time, and she delivered baby 3 weeks later, and it was stillborn.
Mm.
That one was really hard.
Hmm.
When I worked for an agency, we had a mom who she loved her adoptive family. She had baby, placed baby with them. They spent 2 days in the hospital. Mom ended up, so she had a VBAC,
Mm.
where she had had
Hmm.
C-sections, and then she decided to deliver vaginally with this baby, ended up tearing,
Ah.
had significant blood loss. Well, her big thing is she was in rehab. She's like, I'm not in a place to take care of a baby right now. Um, I can I'm young. I can always have more babies. And when she was in that hospital room, she had to have an emergency hysterectomy. And she's like, I can't place this baby anymore. I just got told I will never be able to have a baby again. That was my reasoning for placing, is that I could get older and have more babies when I was secure.
Oh my
And
God.
that ended up disrupting, which was really hard. Um, we don't see a lot of true scams where you will hear a lot about that a lot in adoption, where women are scamming, kind of like we talked about in the beginning
Hmm.
with facilitators.
Hmm.
Usually scammers will go with a facilitator because they aren't checking on things, they aren't doing that due diligence. But there are some things that are unforeseeable that could happen that could potentially cause a disruption with that adoption too.
So we're talking about newborn adoptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like now that I'm thinking about it, that could be very stressful, even more so stressful for a stillbirth mama. I'm wondering what ages? Do you do all ages or
So in private adoption, not through the state, there are older children that are also placed for adoption. We had one family that adopted a 14-year-old, a
oh, wow.
10-year-old. Brittany actually adopted a 1.5-year-old a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So we do have cases so far this year. We've had a 6-month-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Okay.
I think so. We do get a few cases a year that are not newborn cases, but primarily
Mm.
it's newborns.
Okay, so this thank you so much for breaking all this down. I feel like I just interrogated you, but I
No,
really
it's
appreciate
okay.
it. You know, it's funny because, like, I'm sure you talk about this stuff all day, every day, and I do too about certain things, but sometimes people look at me like, what? And I'm like, oh, that's right. I need to like go back. um, okay, so what do you think is the biggest misconception with adoption for a family?
That they have control over the situation.
Interesting.
That you, so there are, when a family has a race preference, it's really hard. The
Mm,
only race you can ever guarantee is mom's.
mm,
Ultrasounds are wrong sometimes. We have seen even when ultrasounds are done where it says, oh, it's a boy, it's a girl, and then baby ends up coming out and it's, you know, can't be a kangaroo, but it's
yeah.
the opposite, you know.
Yeah.
We have that is those are the two big ones. So the only
Mm,
race you can ever guarantee is mom's because maybe she doesn't want anybody to know who dad is. Maybe she is prostituting and has slept with multiple men of multiple races. We see that a lot.
hmm.
And I've been asked the question before, well, we are race specific. If the baby comes out a different race, can we get our money back?
Whoa.
No, because that's a risk that you're
Hmm.
taking. You are choosing that mom, you're choosing that baby. Can you walk away? 100%. But the things that you will never get any money back, it is always, you have to sign what's called an at risk affidavit for drug exposure, race, and gender.
Hmm.
Those are the three things that cannot be controlled in an adoption because you just never know.
Right.
There are some moms out there that maybe they know how to get around the system because they've had so many kids in foster care, things like that, that they know how to get around drug testing. I had in that birth mom Q&A. So we actually send that out to all families. So if you have people that reach out to us, we send that webinar to everyone and I can share it with you and you can share it with others. It is a great, realistic approach on adoption from a birth mom perspective. This mom said, don't worry about it. I will never test positive. We all knew she was using, we just didn't know what. When I was working with her, I actually had her tested 5 times in the hospital from the time baby was delivered to the time she was discharged and baby, and it always came up negative. And it was because she was using fentanyl. And at the time, that couldn't be traced because during an epidural, like they will give it to you
Yep.
before you have a baby.
Yep.
And
And
so they
after.
weren't testing for that back then.
Wow.
So we have to prepare families like, hey, if it is a drug that can be out of your system quickly, cocaine is another one that can be out of your system super fast, meth also. So if a mom knows that she's going in to deliver, she can time it right where that is out of her system. She can go in. It's going to be completely negative, even though she's used her entire pregnancy.
Wow.
So drug exposure is one. Moms not being honest or maybe just really not knowing about race of who dad is another one. So not having any control is a big
Mm.
factor. And I joke all the time that I don't understand how Brittany was able to adopt because Brittany is very type A. She is very OCD. She's got a plan. Everything is in order. And I tell families all the time, I personally could never do it because the unknown, I am a planner. I like everything also done in a certain way. So if anything derails it, my anxiety is like, through the roof. I'm like,
Right.
wait, that wasn't my plan. And So you can't plan when you're adopting. Even when you get close to the due date, like I'll have families be like, oh, hey, we're trying to schedule flights. We're trying to schedule Airbnbs. And we're like, no, no, no. Like, even babies being born, you can have a due date and baby could arrive late. So what are you going to do? You're going to get down there
Mm-hmm.
and sit there for 2 weeks. Like my youngest daughter, she was 2 weeks late. And so you can't,
Yeah.
there's a lot of unknowns with adoption and you have to be okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering as stillbirth mamas are listening to this, it's like I can hear it being nerve-wracking already. Would there be a little bit more clarity for a baby that's already arrived? Would that
No.
okay.
So we will sometimes, and a good example. So last year, the year before, we got a call for twin babies. Mom had these babies, immediately left the hospital, went to the agency that she had talked to 4 months prior and said, hey, just want to let you know I had these babies. They're in the hospital. I want to place them for adoption. She couldn't sign till 48 hours. So we knew that there were babies in the hospital. She did not know their gender. She would not say what they would test positive for. She's like, yeah, they'll probably test positive for something, but I don't know.
Oh gosh.
We didn't know anything about them. So the agency called us and said, we need a Florida family because we have to avoid the state stepping in and trying to take these babies into foster care. So we need a family ASAP. So I had to call families within a 4-hour radius so they could travel quickly and just say, I have twin babies. They're born. Do you want to present? Are they on drugs? We don't know. What are their genders? We don't know. Is everything good? The hospital. So sometimes the agencies have good relationships with some nurses where they will just be, due to HIPAA, like they can't give a ton of information because mom can't sign yet. Mom doesn't want to call. So these nurses will just say, yes, everything's good, or there might be some issues. Wait until mom signs so you can get more information. But in this case, they were told everything's good. It's good. And so they were trying to match a family. So we had to call families and be like, we have twins. Do you want them? And families who ask questions, sometimes you don't have time to ask questions because they had a 4-hour window to get a home study approved family ready to go. So the state didn't step in and take these babies.
Wow.
So sometimes even if a baby's born, there's not a ton of information. And I have a lot of families that will say, so it's called a stork drop. And I have a lot of families that are not okay with stork drops because of that.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of just, we don't know.
Yeah.
Now, if mom's already signed, that's different. The agency can go in the hospital. They can see the baby. They can get all the medical and things like that. But a lot of times it moves really quickly because there are quite a few moms that will have a baby and then get up and walk out of the hospital like immediately after they leave AMA. And so that makes it a little bit harder.
I wish almost they could match us at the same time because we leave empty handed too. It's crazy. I remember thinking that after when Brody was born still, I was like, is there a mom here that doesn't want their baby? Please tell me, it was crazy thinking, but at some point I was like, maybe that made sense. Who knows? Okay. So probably last question. We have absolutely gone through there's probably more challenges, but we have definitely discussed the challenges and painted a very clear picture of how this could go down. Now, there has to be a reason why people still do this. I know I have my reasons why I would probably continue to do this, even though it's so challenging. Can you tell me why families still do this and are so happy they did?
There is so much good in it. If you really go into adoption with an open heart and you understand that so even though a mom may be on drugs, she may be in and out of prison, she is dealing with the life she was dealt. Not everybody is like you and me. There are those out there that struggle. She's not a bad person. She just didn't have somebody to guide her in her life. And if you go into it seeing that there is still good in her and she is creating something good and she is choosing you
Mm-hmm.
to be that child's parents, and you accept that and you are honored to be like, out of all of the families that she could be shown, I just presented a family and they got picked. Mom looked through 13 families and chose them.
Wow.
And they were like, we are so grateful. Like, she wants us out of everybody that she's seen. Um, there is so much good in adoption if you keep an open heart and an open mind, and you're just willing to be flexible. It's different than foster care because even though there is trauma in newborn adoption, these children haven't lived. Like, all they know
Yeah.
is just coming out. And if you can kind of step in, and we will always say, even in the hospital, if there's a mom there, you get this baby for forever. Cater to mom. What does she need? Like, let's build this good relationship. So if you can look past um, any type of drug exposure or any type of unknown or bad decision, there's so much good in it. And there is so much love. And these families can come together and build just this special bond to show this baby, hey, you may not have been brought here because you were necessarily wanted at the time, but guess what? You were still wanted. You are still loved. And all of these people, extended family, bio family, adoptive family, we all love you. It can be
Mm-hmm.
such a good thing, to show everybody that, hey, it's okay. I know that when I placed my son, there were hesitations, but Monica, the woman who adopted my son, she stayed by my side the whole time. And she's like, thank you so much. I couldn't have done this without you. And
Mm-hmm.
as soon as she said that, I felt so grateful. I'm like, she is going to take care of him. I don't have to worry about that because she loves me
Mm-hmm.
and she loves him. And it's just going to be so good. And she has given him the best life. And even his little sister, too. Like, she has given them, even though they don't have the perfect life, her and her husband ended up divorcing later on and, things like that. And she came
Yeah.
to me and she told me. And even with that, like, she's like, here's the life that Jake still lives. And I'm like, that is more than I could have given him at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is, if you can get past all the crazy with the adoption, there's so much love and there's so much good in it. um you just have to get past the hurdles in the beginning and have
Mm-hmm.
an open heart with
Mm-hmm. Wow. So well said. I appreciate you
it.
doing this so much. Honestly, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into play when we lose our babies, especially unexpectedly, full term. And then the now what and the carrying again is wild and a whole new traumatic situation. So, it is really good that you are giving it to us so transparently because so many of us were blindsided by the stillbirth of our babies because nobody told us what pregnancy is like and what the risks are and what could happen. And so the fact that you are laying it out, I think, is just so incredibly important. And you seem like such an incredible support system for those that are going through this because it is not easy and people need to understand that.
It's hard for me because I've never dealt with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what is wonderful about Brittany is Brittany steps in and she's like, I've done this. I did
Mm-hmm.
lose babies. I had to have that hysterectomy early. I
Mm-hmm.
can never carry. Um, and so where I'm coming in from more the birth mom side to say, hey, I couldn't do it. I couldn't take care of my baby. Brittany's like, I had that loss. And it's so great that we were able to come together because even though a lot of families will get the same answer from us, they still get those different perspectives. And it's just said a little bit differently. Even though the end result is still the same, it's still, you get that different perspective from us.
It's
And I
perfect.
can't wait till she has a little bit of time, and it'll probably be after the summer when kids go back to school and things like that. But I would love for you to be able to talk to her too, because
Mm-hmm.
she has adopted two babies. She had her biological boys. They were both NICU babies.
Mm.
One was born at 21 weeks, and Canner was born at 32 weeks, I think it was 31, 32 weeks.
Wow.
So both of her boys were born very premature. And then she lost one in the middle, and then she just couldn't carry. She had to have, her hysterectomy, and she had a lot of medical issues.
Oh my
And
God.
she talks about that with families. And so
Mm-hmm.
she adopted Cadley, and then she went on to adopt Kalia too. And Kalia was a little bit older, and both adoptions are completely different because there was newborn and there was a 1.5-year old. And so she is a really,
Yeah.
really unique and good perspective to kind of get, because she has been a foster mama. She's done everything. And so I can talk from a birth mom perspective, but
No, that's great. I want all
when it comes to
perspectives.
loss,
Yes.
she is an adoption. She is a phenomenal resource to our
Okay. Then
families.
I hope I'll connect with her and see if she has the time to come on towards the end of the summer. But I love your perspective as well. I think it's so important to have all of it. So I thank you so much for doing this. I'm going to put every link and information in the description of the podcast so people can find you, and they'll probably be reaching out to you for more information. And then any links that you have for more resources or more education on this, I'm going to put in there as well. But yeah, I would love to keep in touch. If there's anything I could do for y'all, I'll send you a copy of this if you'd like it,
Thank
because it is
you.
so much information that is so important. And thank you for being willing to do that and put this out there.
Thank
And thank you for
you.
all the work you're doing for all the families and mamas.
So if they write into us from our website, they will get a packet of information. There are drug webinars on there to talk to families about what drugs look like. There's that birth mom Q&A, and we really break down the different preferences, how that looks. So if anybody writes into us, they will get so many different webinars and so many different things so they can go through and kind of see if adoption is the right way to go for building their family.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you so much, Kristin. I do appreciate your time and looking forward to continuing to speak to you about all of this.
You're welcome. I look forward to talking to you more too.
Okay. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You
Okay.
too.
Bye.
Bye.